trailer of Wicked for Good marks not just the conclusion of the two-part cinematic journey, but also an opportunity to address the most significant criticisms of its predecessor. Wicked 2024, the first installment in this ambitious adaptation of the beloved Broadway musical, introduced audiences to the spellbinding dynamic between Elphaba and Glinda, charting their evolution from reluctant classmates to unlikely friends, and ultimately to the iconic figures of Glinda the Good and the Wicked Witch of the West. Now, Wicked for Good is set to complete this sweeping narrative when it arrives in theaters this November. Early glimpses suggest that the sequel is not only continuing the story, but actively improving upon the first film's most divisive elements. From visual enhancements to narrative refinements, the stage, or rather the screen, it's set for a more immersive and satisfying conclusion. By most commercial and critical measures, Wicked 2024 was a resounding success. It earned an impressive 88% score on Rotten Tomatoes, made over $756 million, and secured 10 Academy Award nominations. Proof of its widespread appeal and technical achievements. Yet, despite these accolades, the film was far from universally adored. One of the most persistent critiques were centered on its visual presentation. The film's aesthetic was surprisingly muted, with a color palette that leaned heavily into desaturated tones rather than embracing the vibrant, fantastical world of Oz. This was particularly jarring given the legacy of The Wizard of Oz, a film celebrated for its groundbreaking use of Technicolor. The over-reliance on CGI, especially in scenes that should have felt organic, further detracted from the magic, making certain sequences feel weightless and artificial. But beyond the visuals, another major point of contention emerged, one that went straight to the heart of the film's storytelling structure. Perhaps the most polarizing aspect of Wicked 2024 was its decision to split the musical into two separate films, a choice that, while financially strategic, left many viewers frustrated. The film's abrupt to-be-continued ending felt less like a natural pause and more like a synthetic cliffhanger, leaving audiences feeling as though they'd been kicked out of the theater at intermission. For those unfamiliar with the stage production, this structural choice was especially baffling. The original Wicked musical, which premiered on Broadway in 2003, is a self-contained story that unfolds over two acts, each with its own emotional arcs and climatic moments. By stretching the first act into a 2.5-hour movie and forcing audiences to wait a full year for the resolution, the filmmakers risked alienating casual viewers who were not already diehard fans. Compounding this issue was the lingering question: did Wicked really need 5 hours of screen time to tell its story? While the stage musical thrives on its theatricality and musical depth, the translation to film demanded a more streamlined approach, one that the first installment didn't always deliver. Fortunately, early signs suggest that Wicked for Good is learning from the first film's missteps. The recently released trailer showcases a visual overhaul with richer, more saturated colors that finally capture the whimsy and wonder of Oz. The lighting is more dynamic, casting deeper shadows and brighter highlights that give the world a tangible sense of complexity. Even the CGI appears more polished, blending seamlessly with the practical sets to create a more immersive experience. Director John M. Chu seems to have taken the criticisms to heart, making deliberate adjustments to ensure the sequel feels more visually cohesive. This isn't even just a superficial upgrade, it's a necessary correction that brings the film closer to the fantastical spectacle fans expected from the start. But visuals alone won't guarantee success. The sequel still faces one enormous challenge: living up to the musical heights of the first film. The question is, can the sequel match the first film's showstoppers? Wicked 2024 had the advantage of featuring some of the musical's most iconic numbers, songs like Defying Gravity, Popular, and The Wizard and I. These are ingrained in pop culture, instantly recognizable even to those who've never seen the stage show. These powerhouse moments gave the first film an undeniable emotional and musical punch. This puts additional pressure on the sequel to deliver musically, ensuring that its emotional climaxes land with the same force. Now, I believe that Wicked for Good has a promising solution, and it's tackling this challenge by introducing two brand new songs briefly teased in the trailer. If these additions are as strong as the existing material, they could provide fresh emotional beats that elevate the entire soundtrack. Additionally, Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande's performances remain the film's strongest assets. Erivo's commanding presence and Grande's nuanced portrayal of Glinda's evolution ensure that even the quieter moments resonate. And if the trailer's snippet of For Good is any indication, the film's climatic duet could be one of its most moving sequences. Wicked for Good has all the ingredients to be a satisfying conclusion. Better visuals, a more focused narrative, and the same stellar performances that anchored the first film. If it can overcome the musical hurdles of Act 2 and deliver a finale worthy of its build-up, it may just redeem the two-part structure and solidify Wicked as a definitive cinematic adaptation. For now, the promise is there. Question is, will it truly be for good, or will it fall short of defying expectations? Anyways, this was a review made by the Morbidly Obese Duck, and I'm just gonna waddle away now. Quack.